Now we're going to turn around, I'm going to do my intro and we will begin. Okay. And welcome. My name is Stephen Anderson. I am the Outback hypnotist. I have with me today a gentleman who, I'll tell you shortly just what he did to attract my attention, but he travels in a sort of similar way to what I do. He helps people. Damian Murdoch is sitting beside me in the Smartie today, and the day we met, we actually met on Skype, and you had a heap of, what were they? The kites that you actually fly on, or surf behind, kite surfers, and they were floating backwards and forwards in the screen behind you. Now you're going to have to direct me here if I'm going the wrong way.
No, just
go straight ahead. And it just made for the most peaceful conversation I have had in an incredible amount of time. And on top of that, you were sitting there in a camper van.
That's
now
right.
You're not yet at the point that I would say you are a grey nomad. So I thought it was interesting also to see you in a camper van. Why were you in a camper van?
Well, I bought a camper van about 6 months ago. It's been a long-term goal, something I've wanted to do for a long time. But so at the moment I'm living part-time in that. I do a bit of house sitting, and eventually, like another, say, 6 months, I'm hoping October, that I'll be travelling around Australia in it.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did this take to become real?
Oh, it's probably, I think it's been a goal since 2012 is when I've wanted to live in a camper van, but going back, 15, 20 years, I've always loved the thought of driving around Australia and just seeing friends, and so that's been something in the back of my mind that I've always wanted to do.
Okay. Are you doing that alone or?
At the moment, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Which way around Australia?
I would probably head south and then across to Perth. I've got some good friends in Perth, so and then I'd love to head to the top of WA, but I intend to travel around Australia doing talks and so on, so I'll really head to in whichever direction it sort of takes me.
Okay. Whichever way you're drawn, whichever way there's people there that want to talk to you. Okay, you're right. We have got ourselves a fabulous view out the side here. I'm not sure any of my cameras are picking it up, but I'm just seeing the Pacific Ocean there, and it is gorgeous. Okay. I'm stabbing in the dark at your age, but I'm putting you at around about my age, somewhere between mid-40s and mid-50s.
Yeah, that'd be right.
And delicately I say, what you're planning to do has got a little bit of midlife crisis happening in it. Sort of like someone climbing in a camouflage smart car and doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Is there a change happening here? Is this?
I wouldn't have thought so. It's change for me happened mid-30s, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So this is it feels a lot more calculated than that, I think, these days.
Okay. Tell me about your dairy farm that you grew up on.
Yeah.
You said that as a kid you didn't like it, but you'd like now to sort of return to it?
Oh, it's just one of the things when I travelled overseas, it was just I would have loved to have been able to go back and just spend some time on the farm when I got back.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed so peaceful to you, whereas when I was younger, I just couldn't wait to get off there and get into town and do something a bit more exciting. But I wasn't your stereotypical farm kid when I was a kid. I didn't really participate too much in farm life. I just loved football and cricket.
Well, doesn't that sort of sound like farm kids?
Yeah, it's just, but I didn't get into the motorbikes or the animals
right.
or the fishing or any of that sort of thing like my brothers did.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else that's different between you and your brothers?
I'm probably a lot more social than they are, but again, it's the older you get, the more of yourself you see in them as well.
Yeah.
So, we're fairly similar in a lot of ways, but I'm probably more social than they are. They tend to keep to themselves a bit more, I suppose.
Are they still in a similar kind of profession? Are they in agriculture or?
No. My older brother works in a hospital, and my younger brother's a tradesman.
Okay. So you're in the middle.
Yeah.
Did you have a bit of the Jan Brady syndrome?
What's that?
Well, where the oldest always seems to be, actually the youngest always seems to be the favourite, and the oldest is the one that that takes the lead in everything, and you sort of get lost in between.
Yeah, I don't think that applied to us. Yeah, not really. But we were very similar to the Brady bunch in a way. We had 4 girls. There was 3 girls and 3 boys for a long time, and then my younger sister came along. She was the 7th. But yeah, as a kid, we always compared ourselves to the Brady bunch because there was 3 and 3. You know, there was, yeah.
And which one do you compare yourself to most?
The Bradys.
No, of the family.
Oh, probably my older sister, Ronnie, she was a bit of a role model to me. She was very social, I suppose, and I always sort of looked up to her for that. Okay. She did a lot of travelling as well, so I sort of took that on.
Social seems to be a big thing for you.
Yeah, I think so. It's something I've done a lot of over the years, I suppose.
Right. Am I making you nervous here today?
Not really, no.
Not really? Okay. No. So describe that. So a farm boy being social, as you called it, but not playing with the motorbikes and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Did you have to reach for that because it was something that you weren't seeing around you, except maybe for your older sister?
Did I have to reach for it? Yeah, I don't think so. I think I just loved people from an early age, and then once I moved out of home when I was 17, then I just socialised 7 days a week pretty much. So,
right.
Yeah.
So
just met a lot of people.
Just met a lot of people, and continuing to do that.
Yeah, I think so. Not as much as when I was younger, but still socialise a lot, I suppose. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm concentrating on driving for the second.
Yeah.
Because we were going through roadworks. Did you have big aspirations when you were on the farm?
When I was on the farm, I suppose I always did. I think most kids do, but they were mainly around. I wanted to be a sportsman, footballer or something like that. But aspirations, I probably developed that more later in life, I suppose. Really, when I got back to, say, in my 30s, I started to, or late 20s, I really started to think about what I could do in the world.
Yep.
And had some fairly big ambitions for that.
How's it going?
Getting there. It's been on some major speed humps, but
okay. Tell me about one of them.
Well, when I got to my mid 30s, so as I said, like I had a bar, a pub, nightclub type thing, and which suited me because as we've talked about, I was very social, and but then I got to sort of mid 30s, and I didn't really I sort of got over that scene, but then you had to keep going down there, and I just bought another bar. I had 2 at the time, and and I was finding it really hard to go into the bar, and that got worse and worse, and then I started getting panic attacks and really bad anxiety, and it sort of went from there. And that sort of puts.
I'll stop.
What was I saying? So they put a stop to the ambitions. We're talking about ambitions or aspirations. That sort of put a stop to that for a long time, and I just had to get over the anxiety problem that I had. The reactions I was having in my body. So that's put a stop to that for a bit.
Okay. So you were in small business, or
yeah.
Most of your life, or you?
Oh, when I was 28, I started a bar, and did that for nearly 10 years.
Was it the people or the work that was pushing you away?
It was just the lifestyle, really. It was underground, and it was late at night, and it was just got very unhealthy, I suppose.
Okay.
probably enjoyed it too much for a long time, and then it was just something I didn't see. I was just over that scene, as you do when you get a bit older, and when you're over the scene, like I said, it gets very hard to go in there, and just a series of events, and I just developed this anxiety problem.
Okay. And did we have some sort of a disastrous end to that business, or?
Well, not disastrous. I mean, we got out of it all right, but I had to take a long time off, so that sort of put a bit of stress on some people around me, and and then I went back in there and just sort of got ready to sell or whatever. But it wasn't disastrous then, but it wasn't the end that it could have been. So just came out of it with very little after a lot of work, So
that sounds like small business to me.
Yeah, it's probably true.
It's pretty standard. What'd you learn?
What did I learn? I learned about anxiety, really. I learned a lot about anxiety. So, it was something, all the things I talk to people about now, I wouldn't understand it if I hadn't have gone through it.
Yeah.
So it's because it's a really strange thing to go through when your body's having these panic attacks, these symptoms for no apparent reason, So I've had to learn all about that and realise that there's a lot of people sort of going through the same thing. So it's
they say this. From my understanding, the studies are saying that we're getting so much more of it in so many different areas of the anxiety, or what is being called anxiety.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a large spectrum of anxiety.
Yeah. But my understanding is young people going through university are seeing a lot more of those feelings than ever was before, and a lot of them are tying it towards social media. But that's a whole nother story, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you put it down to?
I think the social media has a lot to do with it. I think the ability for us to communicate without any real communication is tricking our mind into believing something that's actually not true. And we're not, and by that it's telling us, I'm communicating, I've got lots of friends, and what we're looking at is the very best of what we're seeing when we're seeing those so-called friends, and then we're comparing them to us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're saying, well, hang on, look how good they're going, and I'm not there.
Yeah.
And I think that's got a lot to do with it. I won't say it's all of it, because there's going to be lots of, it's been there for a long time, hasn't it? What about you?
What do I put it down to?
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. I think that's a big, like having high expectations, and then your results or whatever when that comes in under that, creates some depression or anxiety or whatever. So like what you're saying, if you've got the high expectations, it's going to trigger some of that. But I think there's a lot of parts to it. So we're getting better and better at marketing, I suppose. So with marketing, you're trying to create a problem in people's minds.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
You're trying to create a problem, and then you've got the solution to that problem, and we're just getting bombarded by that all day, every day. And like they say, like the money that goes into studying the human brain, that's the marketing companies doing that. So they're getting better and better at how to do that. So, and politicians run on that too, don't they? Where they create the problem, they drum up anxiety. So then they're the answer to it. Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, it does. So you say media from just about every angle.
Yeah, we're just copying it all the time, really. So it's just, and I think people do focus on what's wrong rather than what's going right. So that's creating anxiety with people as well.
Yeah. Who do you work with?
As far as what sort of clients I work
Yeah.
with, I do probably 75% with anxiety, and then I do 25% with athletes.
Okay.
So it's just because basically with being an athlete, it's being in charge of your emotional state, so you can perform at your best on any given day. And so yeah, I've sort of fallen into a lot of that, which I really enjoy.
Mostly male, mostly female?
I've got it'd be pretty close, I reckon. 50-50, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hinting around something there that I guess I didn't find at all, but
Yeah,
I'll throw the thought out there.
Right.
I've got a belief
Yeah.
that our young men of today are in a bit of a dire place,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking that we're not teaching them that things have changed and they're lost. I'm not sure how I can say this other than from what I see, our young men are being brought up the same way they were 30 and 40 and 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And our world is a totally and completely different place.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, I believe, a lot of anxiety, for want of a better word, happening because they don't actually know who they should be.
Yeah, I think confusion's the word that comes to
Confusion,
mind, I suppose. Yeah, it's just because I mean the world's transitioning in a lot of ways, isn't it? And it's just I mean men we've just got to find our place in all that, I think. And it's just it's changed quite quickly, I think.
I don't think it has. I think it's changed in our lifetime for 100% sure.
Yeah.
And massively over the last 20 years. You know, from the 90s, we were still a society that had the male was still seen as the breadwinner, as the leader of the household, and that's.
I think this is just a personal opinion, but I think young people cop a pretty bad rap a lot of the time. It's just for who they are, I suppose, and so they're copying that from their elders as well.
Yep.
I think that's probably confusing for them too. Whereas all the young people I deal with are just great.
Yeah.
I find so.
Okay, so that hasn't taken off in the way I was hoping it was either.
What would you?
I don't know. I don't know. I had the feeling, I had the impression that that may have been an area that you had more knowledge on than I do. And
as far as young people or men,
young males,
in particular?
young males.
I mean, I've got hunches, I suppose, but I don't really feel like I've got anything.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you to take the next step. And I'm going to ask you to broach the next conversation piece for us. How's that?
Right.
No?
So what's
but I'm not really looking for anything.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to say this is fun because some speaking to some people is more difficult than others, I guess. Oh, I see where we are, I think, or at least I know the name of the street.
Hastings Street.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do a U-turn and get the hell out of here because there's way too many people.
Too busy for you?
Yeah, way too busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just crazy. Some people are more guarded than others when we're speaking.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that today, and that's what I'm finding very interesting.
You're finding I'm guarded?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know, and heading down a direction, two different directions that I've tried to take hasn't worked. So let's try a third.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all. As I said, it makes my life more interesting if I've got a little bit more of a challenge in what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Okay, and so let's go back to the thought that you travelled overseas,
Yep.
and when you came back, you said to yourself, I probably would have been happier being able to go back onto the farm for a little while now.
Right.
What did you do to make up for that?
Well, when I got back from overseas, I'd had some panic attacks overseas around public speaking.
Right.
So when I got back, I was very limited in what I could actually do because I'd made a decision that I couldn't speak in public. So job interviews were something which in my mind I couldn't do.
Okay.
So
because you were considering that as being in front of an audience?
Exactly,
okay.
Yeah. And so I was scared. Well, I thought the probability would be that I'd have a panic attack, and that's pretty scary when you go through them. So it's so basically that's why I got into opening my own business, so I could avoid job interviews, really. So
Okay.
it's just one of those things that you know when you're dealing with those panic attacks, you get quite, I don't know, quite resourceful or skillful at avoiding situations where it might happen. So, yes.
So what other types of situations besides job applications or interviews
would I avoid?
Yeah.
I mean, emceeing weddings, speaking to schools later on. They were some of the things that I couldn't do, but just even little things, just finding yourself. I found that I got anxiety talking to any more than about half a dozen people. If there was more than half a dozen people in a circle, I started to tense up. To me, that was like the cross the line to where I think the way I think about it, that where I couldn't control the situation or control what people thought about me, because I had to like I said before, I had that belief or whatever it is that everyone had to love me. I had to, so once I got to more than 6 people, I started to get anxious for some reason, So it was so you sort of avoid those situations really, just even at barbecues at your friend's house or whatever it might be.
Okay.
But just anything really, any public speaking at all, jobs. When I was at uni, I dropped out of a subject because I found out halfway through that there was an oral presentation, and I couldn't do that, so I just dropped out of the subject. There's just a lot of things.
So you went back to uni as a mature age student?
Yeah, I did in the 30s, when I moved to Queensland.
How did you find that?
I loved it, I loved it overall. It was quite nerve-wracking at times because I had really bad anxiety at that time. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I loved what I was learning.
Okay.
And it was a great experience.
You're talking quite easily about this anxiety now. Obviously, at the time, it wasn't something that you could talk easily about. But what steps did you start to take to overcome? I'm not sure if overcome is something you ever do, but make it much more able to deal with.
Yeah, well, the first thing, I suppose, it's just really confusing when you're going through it. So you sort of don't know what's going on in your mind and body. And for me, like I didn't even know what questions to ask really in regard to that. It was just you were just going to see psychologists and doing whatever they wanted you to do really. And I was just on anti-anxiety pills and antidepressants, but not really knowing what was going on really. So
how much of your life did that take?
Well, it was the worst of it. I mean, I had those panic attacks when I was overseas in my 20s, like I said, but the worst of it came when I was 34. That's when I had like a full meltdown pretty much, and I got to the stage where I couldn't leave the house. It was pretty bad. So from there, it was probably 10 years really that I'd sort of say took out of my life in a way. Just trying to get to the bottom of it. I went to uni for 2 or 3 years, and sort of that, learn all about the body and all that sort of thing. And then I just did heaps of different courses around mindset.
So you went back to uni to fix yourself?
Yeah, and I also wanted to use that. I wanted to help people as well. So, there was 2 parts to it, but but I had to find out what was going on, really. So that was a part of it. Yeah. But then I went. I did a lot of other courses too, which just learning about the mind and how that affects the body, and because that's where I found the answers, really.
In the body.
A lot of in the mind, really.
Right.
Yeah. I did a lot of really different sort of things. Like I did one course where, learn how to skydive without having any emotional response to that, without any fear. So that was one thing I learned a lot on that course.
Actual physically skydive?
Yeah, tandem jump. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, but that was. Yeah, I learned about the way that my mind responds in a situation like that.
Yep.
It actually, the way I did, I wasn't even scared of skydiving. I was more worried about the video at the end of it, like being interviewed on video.
Oh, okay.
That was where my panic was. But I realised through the course of that couple of days, I learned what my mind does. It sort of invents things.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the structure of anxiety, it's taking your mind out into the future and imagining all the bad things happening. That's the way I look at it, and I realised that I was really bad at that. Like I just invent things in the future which really weren't realistic. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So this is pre whatever it was you were going to be feeling anxious. You'd be building up a story inside your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a really beneficial course, that one. And there was just lots of other things I did like that, just to find out what was going on in my mind, NLP and hypnosis and all those sorts of things.
Okay. And you did those over and above everything you did at uni?
Yeah.
And what type of influence has the uni would be called your I'm losing my words here, but the course at uni would be a recognised course, where the other stuff isn't so much recognised. It's more a secondary type course, or
I suppose. I mean, the uni one was a Bachelor of Health Science,
right?
Whereas the other ones, I mean, with your, when you do NLP or whatever, it's almost, it's like, do the qualifications really count to a lot of people? Whereas, and other ones, I mean, I did a course with a guy called Nam Baldwin, who's Mick Fanning's mindset coach, and he does something called breath enhancement training. Yeah. And that, again, that's not recognised by anyone, but that is just incredible day, where you just learn about the mind and the way it influences the body, and the way breathing influences the body, and all that sort of thing. But so personally, I found most of the most helpful stuff I came across was outside of the traditional path, or what's recognised, or whatever.
Talk therapy.
That's
okay.
Personally.
And where to now?
For me? What do I want to do in the future?
Yeah, where to?
I want to help people. That's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's so I've got a business called World Class Friend, and I'm just trying to.
World Class Friend, that's an interesting name.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure where it came from, to be honest. It's just, I don't know, I just started using it one day, and I don't know, I don't know where. I can't actually remember making it up or anything, but it was, all of a sudden just there. So I've got that, and so I just want to, I want to help people going through what I went through. So it's just, I just try to present the information that I wish I'd come across when I was at the worst of it.
I think I've just driven down the wrong street. I think I'm taking us back to that centre of hive of activity.
Yeah, if you take the right, the next street will take you back out towards, that road along the coast.
Okay, we'll do that. And how long have you been doing that now?
I've been doing it part-time since 2011.
Yep.
Because it's been something I wanted to, I was just feeling my way with it really, and just
feeling your way, not quite believing.
Oh, just continuing to learn, and not really feeling like I could really put myself out there and saying I knew stuff. I was more like still learning and just double checking what I'd learned was right and all that sort of thing. And now I'm to the stage where I just sort of feel like I've got something that I can help people, a lot of people with. So that's what I'm hoping to do, and then just see what happens. Yeah, I'd like to, because I've had to get to the stage where I can public speak as well.
Yep.
That's an important part of it. Even going on video and things like that. So I've just been getting.
So I'm doing some therapy for you here today, putting you on video.
That's it.
Okay. And are you there?
I still have my moments. Am
I going to go left or right?
Left here. Yeah, like I think I'm there sometimes, and then there'll be a certain group of people, like say a football club, for example, and that brings up a different set of fears. You know what I mean? So it's just so you've obviously got beliefs around what that talking to a football club means, and why is that different to anyone else? So as they come up, you've sort of got to deal with that.
Okay. Why is talking to a football club different?
I think it's
other than the fact that there's 30 of them there and they're big hulking young men
and blokes, and I've been involved in a lot of football clubs, and I know how we judge people who can't. I don't know, you know, the locker room talk, and there's that. There's that feeling that you don't want to be seen to be different or something, so you've got to pretend like you've got no need for the sort of things I talk about in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's that was that just brought up.
Can you answer that again? Can you say that again in a different way?
Jumbled,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to. Yeah, I suppose it's my beliefs around groups of men. I suppose that there's that need to feel to keep that front up,
right?
I think, and so I feel like what I talk about would help most people in a football club, but it's the people in the football club.
But when you were a football player,
sitting
back, and someone like you came in,
well, it never happened in those days. It just wouldn't have happened. Yeah, they wouldn't have done that. Like the mind wasn't even talked about. And so these days, it's actually a lot more people are aware, but then there's still that core of people who would be very just skeptical of it and
run your laps, do your push-ups,
and critical of it. Yeah. But it's that. Yeah, there's a lot more men now that are definitely are open to it, I think. Because the AFL, for example, is really onto that side of things, the mindset side of it. Yep. And so that's infiltrating down through the grades, and also because anxiety and depression are so common now, and we talk about it more. There is more people open to it, but there is still that element there where it's I don't know, ridiculed, I suppose. So that's obviously what came up when I thought of speaking to that group of people.
Okay. And you've done that now?
I haven't done that now. I'm working at the football club, but it's more, I haven't spoken in front of a big group of them, so that's something I've still got to confront at some stage.
Okay. So you're working at the football club
Yeah, just helping out.
in a coaching type role, mentoring type role, that type of thing?
Yeah, that side of things, yeah.
Okay. Because you're a sportsman?
Not really. I love sport, but I wasn't that great at it or anything like that. But it's just been something over the years that I've sort of fallen into in some ways through mates coaching and then through all the mindset stuff that I've done. Then I started to work with a couple of athletes and got pretty good results, and so yeah, it's just sort of gone on from there really. There you go, this one. Yeah, so it's
Talk
just
to me about the results. Tell me some stuff that's happened.
So with a couple of athletes, I've had some where they've been having a lot of mindset trouble, like on the day of leading up to big events, and they're getting sort of all sorts of reactions in their body, which don't allow them to run at their best, for example. And so yeah, you've got to dig into what that is, because it's basically the same thing as like my public speaking side of things. It's all the same set of mechanisms within the body that are creating that emotional state in an athlete. So public speaking was my thing, but then like a big race meet for someone, they're creating something in their mind and body to get there.
Can you give me for example?
Well, one example is where the legs go totally numb.
Okay.
And turn sort of grey, so the blood flow's obviously not getting there. But that only happens in the big meets. So it's when a big race. So they're obviously putting meaning on that race.
Yeah.
That's different to some other race that they do sort of every week. So so you got to get to there's a chain of events that lead to that happening. And you've got to dig into that, the meaning, the way you're interpreting things, the beliefs that have been triggered in the first place.
Yep.
And then teach them ways to actually take control of their emotional state on the day when they start to feel any of that stuff happening. How to take charge of their emotional state through their, the physiology or the body language, through their self-talk.
Okay. So give us for example. A specific example. Of how to change that physiological state.
Okay, so say on the day when you feel yourself, you walk on the track, for example, and you look around and you look at the opposition and think, that these girls are too good for me or something.
Yep.
That's a belief that you've got. So hopefully we've dealt with that before the actual day.
Yep.
Then there's the next stage of that is the meaning or the interpretation of the situation. So taking charge of that, because that's what creates your emotional state.
Okay.
And then once you feel any of that happening, then
how do you know you're feeling that happening?
Because you're feeling the symptoms in your body. You're feeling
and the symptoms are
anxiety, your butterflies, for some people, like for the girl I was talking about before, it's the numbness starting to come to the legs.
Right.
So so with physiology, then it's about your breathing techniques, because you're going into the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. You've got to switch it back to the parasympathetic nervous system. So breathing techniques will help with that. Movement will help with that. Your posture. Even putting a smile on your face. It's all just getting the chemicals in your body, changing the group of chemicals running around in your body to put yourself into an emotional state that's going to allow you to run at your best.
Okay. And right now I have no idea where I am. Should I turn left or right?
Left, yeah.
Turn left. Okay. Good. Cool.
Yeah, and then the second part of that, one's physiology, then it's your self-talk, it's what you're saying to yourself. Mm-hmm. So taking charge of that, and then it's your focus, so you're focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want. So it's on the result you want, not a few, because what we tend to do is focus on everything that can go wrong and the worst result, and that'll create tension, that fight or flight response in the body.
And I thought fight or flight response made you run faster.
It's, for some people that might work, but if you look at like AFL coaches, AFL teams, for example, you're seeing a lot more of like teams having a joke when they run out on the ground now before a quarter. You don't get coaches berating their players, trying to rev them up into a state beforehand.
Yeah.
Because I think most realise that you actually run at your best when you're relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got focus, so you've got strong focus, but your body is just relaxed, and it can just do what it's been taught to do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about the negative self-talk.
Negative self-talk. So basically, what you're saying to yourself will influence the way that your body feels. So if you're telling yourself that you're not a great public speaker, or you're not, this could go wrong, or bring up all the sorts of things that all the things can go wrong, then you're actually not going to be in the state to make things go right.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Come out to
Didn't do it. Say it again in a different way. I think he's turning left. He's too big. If he's not, So let's take this girl for instance.
Yep.
What was she saying to herself?
So basically she was getting to a point like when in the big race meetings where she would walk on the track and she would say to herself, I'm not good enough to be here, or these girls are look how calm they are. So she's telling herself all the all the reasons why she can't on that day.
Yep.
So you've got to turn that around to why you can. And you've got to get your focus onto the picture, running the picture on my movie of everything going well.
Okay.
Of getting the result that you want. And
So
then
that's a
backing
process.
that up with
So that's a
backing that up with
process you
self-talk.
give her.
Yeah, so with the self-talk, there's a series of 6 questions that I give people to when they catch themselves in negative self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 questions I take them through to turn that situation around.
Okay.
To get the self-talk healthy, so that they're able to perform at the best.
Okay.
And then with the focus, it's basically
So she notices herself with the self-talk.
yeah. So that's
And then she asks the question of what is said.
Yep. So you're asking, does it really mean that? Could it mean anything else? So you're coming up with different ways to interpret it.
Yep.
And then what am I deciding in order to feel that way? So what do I believe about this situation that's causing me to feel that way? Am I going to believe that thought, or will I choose something else? And then it's back onto what do I want and what action I can take. So you've turned it around from something negative to focusing on doing the thing that's actually going to get you the positive result.
Right. Sorry, just hit that again. And how much practice do they have to have at doing this?
It's a skill, so it's something that it's not going to happen overnight, but it's a matter of that's where meditation is really helpful, I find. I mean, I'm not sure, what's your thoughts on meditation? Is that something
I'm a big believer in meditation.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think you can get out of meditation is just realising what your self-talk's doing. So I get a lot of people saying that they can't meditate because they can't shut their mind down.
Yep.
But it's actually noticing what your mind's saying, and that's what I find one thing out of meditation is that they get to realise that voice is there and it's saying things, so they learn to notice that when it's happening. So if they run out on track or go to say a speech or whatever it is, they can recognise that voice is even there, and then they can turn it around to something positive.
Okay. And you, for yourself, with your public speaking, say these things, ask these questions?
That's what the meaning questions. I used to carry them in a card. If I got one on me, I used to carry a little cardboard card in my back pocket, and I'd pull it out and go through the questions. And that trilogy, I call it Trinity of emotional state control, I had that on the other side of the card, and now I've got that on printed up on a PVC card that I give to people, because I use that stuff to take a job interview, for example, to pull up out the front and be in a state where I didn't think I could go in. But in that moment, I found that I couldn't remember the stuff that I needed to remember. So that's where I put it on a card and I actually ran through.
Where you can actually read it.
Where I could read it and prompt myself and actually control what was going on and turn it around so that I could actually do it. And over time, it was something that, with public speaking, for example, it was something that it was still very difficult for me. But now I do all that stuff as that's where I say it's a skill and something you get better at with practice. And that the way those meaning questions is just something I do just naturally in my mind now in any situation, because I do have the tendency to interpret things in a very negative way straight away, but when you actually look at it, it's not really the reality of what's happening. Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah. Look, it does make sense, and it's something I think we all do, and I think we've brought ourselves to the right end of this conversation, because you're doing the right thing. You're doing. What I've picked up, my light bulb moment from today, talking to you, is the carrying the card, to have those 6 questions actually there, to be able to say to yourself, and the not so much of a light bulb, but the reframing of my thoughts around meditation is to help you understand, because I think a lot of people have all of these negative self-talk and don't realise, and they don't know that it's there. So
I didn't even know that. It was just, you just go through life. I didn't really even know that I was talking to myself. But it's that's what I've found is really important for me. It's just the quality of your self-talk. I sort of think it governs your quality of your life in a way.
Okay. Expand on that.
Well, it's what you it's like what you're saying to yourself all the time. It's just putting you into an emotional state, because your body is responding to that, what you're saying to yourself with the chemicals, and that puts you into whatever state it is that.
What were you saying to yourself, and what are you saying to yourself now?
I think my overarching, I was really critical and really harsh on myself. I just caned myself really, because my expectations of myself was just way too high. And anything short of that. How do
you mean your expectations were way too high?
I don't know. For some reason, I had this. I talked to mum and dad about it, and they said even from a little kid, you were just really harsh on yourself. You had to win, and you had to, and anything short of that was just, you just smash tennis rackets or whatever it might be.
Right.
So it was just, I was just had this tendency to be really harsh on myself, and then as I got older, I'd drive myself into depression or anxiety or whatever it was with that harshness, I think.
And what do you say to yourself now?
I'm just a lot kinder to myself. I know I know the tendencies are there that I've got, the way that I interpret things, the meaning I put on things, and I'll just continually change that. And it's just I just take things a lot less seriously overall. It's just it's just really try to lighten everything up.
Give me an example of taking things less seriously.
I don't know. The only things coming to mind is really just the a wedding I went to on the weekend, whereas I would have had to try to squeeze every bit of, just would have had to make that day the best day or something like that. Whereas now I'm just more able to just relax and enjoy it, and just not think too much about it. Just have fun without trying to have fun.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
Do you have to do work to your camper van, or is it up and ready to go?
It's sort of up and ready to go. Like, it's decked out and everything, but it's still, it just needs a few little things done. Yeah. Got yeah. It's, are you in a van? Did you say?
No.
You're not. Yeah. Yeah. Just got little things going wrong with it. It always seems to be something.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to get across that I haven't been able to drag out of you so far today?
I suppose the things for me when I work with people, the key things to me, I mean, we've talked about self-talk. I'm not sure I got that across properly, but it's just getting this, just understanding what you're doing to yourself with what you're saying to yourself and what you're focused on. Because I get to, even with the footballers that I work with, so you get to half time, and if things haven't gone well in that half, they can get stuck focusing on that.
Yeah.
and saying things to himself like, oh, I can't get near it, I can't do this, and they're stuck in the time that's already gone.
Yep.
So it's a matter of getting the focus back onto the half that's coming and forgetting about that. And I think that's just an analogy for life in general. It's just like, I think a lot of us focus backwards and
live in the past.
Yeah, obsess on things that have already happened. Whereas, if you stay focused on what you want and who you're being in order to get that, who you're showing up as every day. So it's being the person that gets to have what you want, and then just focusing on the actions. And whether it's sport or life, I think that's a really good model for life. It's just that
focus. Are you saying focus forward or focus now?
Yeah, focus now, really. Focus, you've got what you want, but really focus now on being the sort of person that gets to have that.
Yeah.
So it's like in football, it's those behaviours that go towards winning, those habits and things. But I think in life that we've all got those as well.
Behaviours that don't take us towards winning.
What's that, sorry?
Behaviours that don't take us towards winning is what we have as the standard that we need to change.
Oh, it's more, working out what you need to get what you want, whether it's a game of football and you want to win the game of football, or you've got a goal in life. It's the behaviours, the habits, the characteristics, that sort of thing that actually gets you to achieve that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's actually focusing on just being that. So like what you said, just in the present.
So do you have any standard habits, rituals that you carry out every day?
Yeah, I've got a morning routine that I stick to that I find has been really important for me. So,
okay. Yeah. You want to tell us?
Yeah, well, I wake up, I do the breathing exercise that I got from Nan Baldwin, the breath enhancement training. So I do that every morning. Then I do a meditation that comes straight after the breathing. Then I do a plank first thing. That's just a weird thing I do, but it's just, okay. I do one of those, and then I run. I'll go for a run and do some exercise. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I've had fun. There's definitely deep talking, but before we shake hands and say goodbye, I'll get you to look in there. Say hello to the people that you want to work with, and tell them where to find you.
Yeah, I'm Damian Murdoch. You can find me at worldclassfriend.com, or I've got a Facebook page called Taking Charge of Anxiety as well. So, and also Damian Murdoch, mindset coach.
And there we are. We're all done.
All right.
Cheers. Thanks, man.
Cheers,
It was
mate.
good fun.